Well, you guys know the drill. Let's start with the bad valve. We'll just do one at a time. And how the heck are these held in there? I don't see regular keepers. Maybe they are. I should look up the instructions. So there's a stem. I don't see where it's split. It's supposed to be two little halves. It just looks like one ring. Let's read the instructions first. Nope, nothing too fancy here. So, lift up the head, put a paper towel against that valve, keep it from compressing, and then just give our special tool a whack and it should come right out. Oh no. That keeper. One keeper came out, but not both. Oh, cripes. There we go. Let's get a better whack. Spring. And the prize. Now, is it bent? No? Looks fine to me. So, again, this is a budget rebuild. The customer is broke. I'm doing this for credit. He's going to be paying me for like 5 years. I'm like, hey man, how about $100 a month? Kind of a special case, but I just want this car done and back on the road instead of going to the crusher. And you know, it's a cool car. So we're not doing anything extra. I just ordered 2 valves and a head gasket, and we will need new exhaust manifold gaskets. They kind of fell apart when I took it off. Everything else we're going to reuse. I don't care what the instructions say. Just get this car back on the road. Alright, let's carefully inspect the valve seat, and it actually looks beautiful. There's absolutely no pitting, not like an oil burner. I don't see any damage marks or dings or anything. That's amazing. So, I guess just the valve itself took the brunt of the damage. Well, let's lap a new one in, put it back together. So I got these from FCP Euro. Look at that. Volvo. Hopefully these are the right ones, not like that Hyundai. Did not get these from Rock Auto. Thank goodness it's the right one. Alrighty, let's put some paste on there, lap it in. So I'll just put a dab of the fine stuff. I'm sure this will just seat like it's supposed to. And the seat looks great, so no need to go nuts with the compound. So, let's see what's the best way to do this. Maybe just tilt the head up on its end. See that? Go this way. Looking nice. So I'll just replace these two. And that'll be good. So I was curious, what exactly happened to the old valve to cause this failure? So you can see it does not seal all the way. That's why I had a partial miss right after the PCV valve accident. It's not sealing right there. So it's slightly bent. It's actually slightly bent, and the part that's touching is the part that got burned. That's pretty nuts. Right there, you see the gap? And right there it's touching. Crazy! That's nuts. Alright, now the mystery is solved. So this engine will run very well once it's put back together. Alright, so let's put this spring back on. This might be a little tougher than the other valve jobs we've done in terms of reinstalling the keepers. That spring is pretty heavy duty, but we'll see. One. There's two. Oh, grapes. Okay, now our spreader tool and we'll see what happens. Like I said, this is going to be, I have to do this off camera to maximize the chance of success. I'll give it one good whack, see what happens here. Nope. Nope. Cut. Alright, since the fancy tool didn't work, we're using a clamp, PVC pipe, little piece of metal. So these keepers, they sit pretty far down on the stem, and using a little dental tool, I got them on there. The spring is pretty far compressed. Now I'm going to slowly and carefully decompress it. That valve should be happy. Alright. Excellent. There's that. Again, have an assortment of homemade tools. I'm sure there's a Volvo specific factory tool for this job, but and yes, you do want to lubricate this guy with some engine oil. Make sure there's no debris. Now we can just give a little tap with the hammer. Make sure That valve is nicely seated. Do we want to do the second one? Yes, I think so. We're already here. So this tool does a good job taking off the valve. If you give it a good whack, but putting it back on, I'm sure it would be okay with just one valve replaced, honestly. There we go. That. Take a look at this one. Yeah, the seat's a little uneven and it's cruddy and crappy, so good thing we're replacing both of these. Now that I got the method down, second valve reassembly went a lot faster. So let's just gently release the tension. Excellent. Can you believe this car went 50,000 miles with a bent valve? Running halfway decent? I just find that very impressive. Some cars just maybe are built a little better than others. And the seats look amazing, even with 50,000 miles of abuse. That's it. I'm done with the cylinder head. It's going back in the car. Oh, the Volvo. There was a minor parts setback. So the only parts that I ordered was a head gasket and 2 exhaust valves. These are the exhaust manifold gaskets. It's not one gasket, it's 5 individual little gaskets. As you can see, these are completely shot. They're destroyed. You can even see that there were some exhaust leaks out of this manifold, all the black marks. So there's no way we can reuse these. And Volvo parts are, let's just say they take some time to get. We had a Volvo dealership here a couple years ago. They closed down, so I had to order an aftermarket set. Luckily, the parts store could get it in a couple days. So here we go. Felpro kit. These look like nice, brand new exhaust manifold gaskets. They're actually pretty thick. So my strategy here is going to be, we're going to install the gaskets and somehow hold them to the exhaust manifold and then set the head down, because once the head is in place, they're really very difficult to put in here and then put the stud in while you're holding the gasket. That's just not going to happen. So that's why I couldn't do any reassembly before getting a new set of these. So I'm thinking a little bit of RTV, just kind of stick them on here, make sure they're all in place, and then we'll put the head down on the new head gasket and then put these studs in. Now, I don't know if the studs are supposed to come out or the nuts off the studs, but anyways, it's actually convenient, because if the studs remain in the head, we couldn't get the head off without removing the exhaust manifold further, and there's not much wiggle room here because it's all attached to the turbo and all that good stuff. So let me slap those on there, make sure they stick well, and then we'll put the head on and at least start the studs and do everything else. Alright, so exhaust manifold individual gaskets are just tacked on there with a little bit of RTV. Just let them set up for a few minutes. And I'm using the studs to hold them in place temporarily. New head gasket is in place. This thing is massive. It's like multi-layer heavy steel. But for turbo performance you need a heavy duty gasket, I guess. And that's it, we're ready to put the head on. So we take out these studs. Everything's clean. Should go right on. We'll just lightly put a couple head bolts in, and I want to start these studs before the gaskets fall out or something crazy. So let's do that. Alright, here we go. Where are my dowel holes? There we go. Well, I hope the gasket stayed in place. Put a couple of head bolts in just to hold the head down slightly, and then we'll do the exhaust manifold studs. Alright, so I got all the studs in place, the gaskets didn't fall out, so the RTV trick worked a treat. Let's just buzz all the head bolts in lightly. Now I sprayed them with WD-40. They do say lubricate the bolts. I think it should be okay. Okay, perfect. So let's follow the torque sequence up here and then do the exhaust manifold while we have, so that's all buttoned up, and then we'll do everything else. So here's the sequence for tightening the head bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pretty straightforward. The spiral. And obviously you're supposed to use torque to yield bolts and then do, what do they say here? Stage 1, 20 Newton meters. Stage 2, 60 Newton meters. Stage 3, 130 degrees. We're just going to go to like 90 foot-pounds and call it good. Alright, first pass, let's just do 20 foot-pounds. Starting with this one here. Moving right along, exhaust and intake manifolds are bolted down and torqued. Now we have to do the camshafts and this fancy cover. So, the instructions say basically put the camshafts on, then coat this entire thing with adhesive, with like a roller. Just paint it and then slap it on there. So that's what we're gonna do. So first, I'm just gonna take some oil and pour it over the cam journals and the buckets. Alright, that should be good. Exhaust cam, keep in mind the oil seal will want to be right there. And take about there. Alright, let's clean up that valve cover. Well, here's the cover. I don't really know the best way to do this without a roller. We're just going to go for it. So just use common sense. You want the sealer to a very fine bead. Let's first do the perimeter. Alright, here goes nothing. Hopefully the oil seals are friendly, stay in place. If you're a perfectionist, this is going to drive you nuts. I'm kind of a perfectionist myself. You want to get every little hair and piece of debris out of the way. Okay, it's looking pretty good. And remember, the camshafts, they're not all the way down because the springs are pushing them up. Let's just start slowly putting in our bolts. So there's 24 bolts in the middle section, 20 plus 4. Oh, this is going to be so satisfying when this car starts up and runs. So let's just lightly start screwing these down. So we are installing a brand new timing belt. This is a Gates unit. I just had one in stock because this one, it's getting cracked. It's never been replaced since I've serviced the car. So Better be safe than sorry, because all that hard work would be wasted if it grenades, if the timing belt breaks. So what I did was, we marked all the pulleys and the old belt, and I just transferred the marks to the new belt. Basically counted the teeth, marked it. We're just going to put it back exactly the way it was. The cam gears are centered, tightened down. Pretty straightforward. Alright, moment of truth. Fill the coolant. Oil level is still okay. We'll top it off because the head will fill up with oil and take a little bit. Let's hook up the battery, see how this thing starts. Are we out of the woods? If you remember, in the beginning of part 1, it had a long crank time. Now, long crank time, huh? Why? As the owner said, once the misfire got really bad, the next day he had a long crank time. Is it possible that there's something wrong with the fuel pressure? Like it was running lean? I'm not sure, but let's hook up the scanner and start it up. Here we go. Cross your fingers. Well, fired right up. What the hell was that? I didn't take the exhaust off. Did I forget to hook something up? That was super loud. Oh man, one of my exhaust gaskets slipped out right there, right under the turbo. Oh cripes. There's no way to check that. I guess I gotta pull the exhaust manifold off again, or at least those studs. Reposition those gaskets. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, take 2. I got the 2 gaskets repositioned, took the studs out, put them back in. Let's make sure there are no leaks before we screw on the heat shields. So the pipe is just hanging out. Come on, Volvo. Ugh. Much better. I'm gonna let it stabilize a little bit. You see, running pretty decent. Let those valves seat in there. So idle. Let's see if I put it in gear. Slight little shake. But I don't know, we gotta test drive it. That cylinder hasn't fired in a while, so Any stuff is just cleaning out. Alright, running super smooth. Let's see what she'll do. I feel so good. That was a long job. So now place your bets. We're at 185,000 miles. How far is this car gonna go? Based on what I saw inside the engine, as long as nothing else grenades, it'll keep going. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay away from burnt exhaust valves. I've seen too many recently. It's just, I don't know. This one wasn't caused by oil burning. It was caused by previous cylinder damage. So we'll see what the oil consumption is after the repair, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.